Hey, Lee Perry here in Evansville, Indiana, virtual assistant and executive director for the Rotary District 6710. So excited to help Nancy Stearman, our district governor for 22-23, wrap up her year. Nancy, what an amazing year you had. I know that you had a great time visiting the clubs, and I recall that you started off talking about time, talent, and treasure with your clubs. Expound on that a little bit.
I will be happy to, Lee, and thank you so much for the opportunity to just share with you today what our clubs and our Rotarians from District 6710 have accomplished this last year. Oh my gosh, it has been just beyond my wildest dreams what the almost 2,500 now Rotarians in 65 or 6710 have done. They really just have knocked it out of the park. And you're right, when I did the club visits, I talked about how as Rotarians, really our greatest calling, our singular calling, is to serve other people. And when we serve others, the impact of that service changes lives. How do we do that? How do we make that impact? Well, we give of ourselves with our time, our talents, and also our treasures. So when our Rotarians generously give of those three things, the impact can be earth-shaking. And that is, I guess, the singular word I would use to describe this past year. It has, I just am so anxious to share with you more details about what the folks in 6710 have done this year.
Well, I'm excited to hear about it. So why don't we start off? I think you mentioned that the time and talent kind of is entwined together. So do you want to start in that category or those two categories and share what the amazing Rotarians in our district have accomplished?
I would be absolutely happy to. You know, time and talent. Well, what that really means to me is our Rotarians have to have a vision. Jennifer Jones asked us to imagine Rotary, think outside the box. What new ways could we impact the world this year? So our Rotarians used their talents to conceive of some very innovative ways to do that. But seeing the vision is only a piece of it. We have to be able to implement that vision. And that's where the Rotarians have to step up with their time. And they have to go out and recruit other people who will also contribute their time. You know, one person can have the vision, but it takes an army to actually carry that out. So I think the starting point is that we have had record membership growth. Travis Keller, who was also the district chair, district conference chair, but he is the district membership chair, has led the membership growth this year to a record number. As of today, we have a net increase of 44 members. So what that means is when you take the ones that we gained and then the folks that left, we're still 44 people ahead of where we were when we started the year. And that is double the growth that we had in the immediately prior Rotary year. So he has doubled the number of new Rotarians, net increase in Rotarians. And that is so critical to getting our mission of the projects done. The other piece of that is we retained more of our current members. Our retention percentage now is up to 90%. So that means, and that may account for part of that membership growth. What that means is when we bring people in, they are satisfied enough that they're staying. Travis has figured out how to close that back door. So our retention rate now is slightly over 90%. Jennifer Jones asked us to please make sure that at least 30% of our members were women. Of course, as everybody knows, Jennifer was the first female president of Rotary International. We also had a female director this year, and Elizabeth Yusevich. So it truly was the year of the woman. Jennifer asked that the districts have at least 30% of their members being female. Well, our clubs hit that goal and kept on going, because we have 34% of our members are women. So they met that goal. And as you look to the future, some of us are beginning to age out, getting up there in years. So it's really important that we bring in the next generation. They are the future of Rotary. Well, as we speak today, 15% of our membership is under the age of 40. So Travis has increased that demographic as well. And indeed, at the district conference, there really was a focus on attracting younger individuals into service through the Rotary clubs. So membership is strong and healthy. We started the year at 2391. So now we are up to 2450 about. So we are
That's
just really
fantastic.
marching along. Yeah. So that's the membership side of it. Now, impact, you can't have impact without a vision for what you want to do. Well, one of our visions for this year was to increase literacy in the district by having the Imagination Library program in every county where we had a Rotary club. When we started this year, there were 17 counties in District 6710 that contained Rotary clubs that did not offer Dolly Parton's Imagination Library program to the children of their community that were under 5 years old. And as you know, that program provides books to these children every month free of charge, and it has been shown to increase the literacy rates of those kiddos once they get to kindergarten and beyond. So we started the year with 17 counties did not have the program. As we speak today, we are down to 1 county.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And they have plans in the works for to get their program up and going, but I just don't know that will happen before July 1st. So there's one piece of measurable impact. We have increased the literacy across District 6710. Our clubs really seized on my passion of polio and did some innovative things to raise awareness for polio. Probably the most elaborate thing we did to create awareness was to partner with Lynn Family Stadium, the soccer stadium in Louisville, Kentucky, to light their stadium to illuminate the stadium in purple lights for 3 days surrounding World Polio Day, to raise awareness of polio and the need to continue supporting that financially until the last case is done. And that brought an awareness to the community, the metropolitan community around Louisville. So that was really a sparkling moment for me with raising awareness for polio. We also looked at how we could continue to serve the communities of 6710 through the district grant program. And we had almost 40 different clubs receive district grants. So 40 clubs were able to impact with multiple projects. That's not 40 clubs getting 40 projects. That's 40 clubs. Some of them were able to fund 2 or 3 projects with their district grants. So there's another impact spread across the district, with 40 clubs being able to do projects that otherwise they would not have been able to do had they not gotten the district grants. And then last, certainly but not least, when you look at vision, we've increased the opportunities for our youth to serve. Talk about the next generation of Rotarians. If we can grow them from babies on up, then we'll be in good shape for the future. We've started early act clubs. They have started several of those in Hopkinsville. Well, that gives children in elementary school the chance to serve. We've increased the number of our interact clubs, which lets middle school and high school students have service opportunities through Rotary. So every way you look at it, the clubs and the Rotarians in 6710 have just spread the news and the impact of Rotary across the district. And of course, it even goes beyond that to the international work that we do. So we can talk about that in just a few minutes. But I think that's a pretty good illustration of putting your time and your talent to work.
Well, and I know that a couple of those grants, you had some collaboration amongst clubs this year, and that was new to a certain extent.
Yes.
The extent that they collaborated on projects, especially with our response to the disaster, the tornado
Yes.
disaster, the recovery on that. I know there were a dozen clubs or so involved in that. So that's huge as well. I mean, it seems to me that working together, we can accomplish so much more, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It takes a village. And if we can, and we talked about that during my club visits, if we can get away from that notion of siloing our clubs, rather than being a silo, let's reach our hands out to our neighboring clubs to collaborate and have a bigger impact. You're exactly right.
Well, so that's the time and the talent piece. And so let's spend just a few minutes talking about the treasures piece, Nancy.
Absolutely. Because you can have the vision, you can have the bodies, the hands, the willingness, be ready to go, but you have to have the funding for those projects. You just, without the funding, you're not going to have the resources you need to get the projects done. That's where our giving to the Rotary Foundation is so important, because when we give to the Rotary Foundation, we are giving the money, the treasure that funds all of these projects. It's like the fuel that runs the engine, and the engine is the work that Rotary does. Well, we reached new heights with our contributions and support to the Rotary Foundation. We had our first Arch Clump Society major donor this year. Now, we had 13 new major donors step up, but one of those major donors stepped up in such a significant way that they gave a gift, very substantial gift. I will say that to become an Arch Clump Society member while you're living, your cumulative giving has to be at least $250,000. And that's not a bequest, that's actually a gift, an outright gift to the Rotary Foundation. Well, we had our first living Rotary member in District 6710 make that commitment and make that substantial gift. That meant that before anybody else gave a dime, we already had $250,000 in gifts to the Rotary Foundation. When you then add all of the support from our 55 clubs, our 2,400 Rotarians, as of today, District 6710 has sent $612,000 to the Rotary Foundation for the annual fund, Polio Plus, disaster relief, the endowment fund. We have never, as a district, come anywhere close to $612,000. I think we ended last year at maybe 497 or 498. So once again, our Rotarians have just knocked it so far out of the park. That money of the $612,000, $500,000 of that went to the annual fund. Well, annual fund money comes back to the district. A portion of it comes back 3 years later to fund our district grants. So we're going to be able to increase our impact locally 3 years from now, just because of the tremendous giving of the Rotarians this year. If you average out our giving over every Rotarian in the district, we are already up to $210 per Rotarian. That was 180%, excuse me, of our goal of $116 per month.
That's phenomenal. And I think that's one of the things that makes the Rotary Foundation so unique with the annual fund. As a reform development officer, I will say that's one of the things I love, is that they keep that money for 3 years, retain the interest on it, and then give 50% of it back to the district so that we can do good in the communities that we serve, whether it's here or around the world.
And the other thing that does is, excuse me, it creates a culture of giving in our district. When you see Rotarians stepping up at that level, that serves as an example for other Rotarians. And the culture of giving continues far into the future. And when you talk about the culture of giving, Lee, we give to the annual fund, but we also give to Polio Plus. And this year we chartered the Polio Plus Society. We have 57 charter members of that society, and that's 57 people pledging to give at least $100 a year to Polio Plus until the last child is vaccinated, until polio is eradicated. We've also increased our membership in the Polio Plus, or in the Paul Harris Society, by over 10% to 73 members of our district. So 73 Rotarians have pledged to give at least $1,000 a year to the annual fund to support projects. So that's $73,000 automatically that the district has to send to the Rotary Foundation. This year, we will have the distinction of having every club give at least $100 to the Rotary Foundation. So we're working on creating that culture of giving where every Rotarian does step up to some extent, to the extent they're comfortable with their treasure, as well as the time and the talent that we talked about. The giving to Polio Plus, and everybody knows polio is my passion. Well, we've set records with that as well. Rotary International asked us to have our Rotarians shoot for giving $30 per Rotarian. Well, right now we are at $35 per Rotarian, because we have contributed, the district and the clubs combined have contributed over $87,000 to Polio Plus. So a little over $500,000 to the annual fund, $87,000 to Polio Plus, the remainder to disaster and endowment. We have just given beyond any level that I could ever have conceived. And that's all that's the clubs. That's our Rotarians. So I believe they did take to heart the idea of giving your time, your talent, and your treasurer. Now, the clubs benefit when they are star clubs because they get a bigger match from the district when they receive district grants. Right now, we have 10 clubs that were star clubs last year that have not yet achieved that $100 per person giving level. So to those 10 clubs, I would say you still have time to get that done. You have got until June 30th to make your contribution to the Rotary Foundation to have it counted for this Rotary year. And that's the significant time stamp that has to be on those donations in order for those clubs to be considered star clubs. And of course, I don't want to wait until June 30th to send that money. It really needs to go a week or so ahead of time. And the one thing I did not talk about was the impact of our giving on international projects. Let me take just a minute and speak to that, if you don't mind. We give to the Rotary Foundation, the money comes back to us, a portion of it for district grants. The rest of that money goes to international projects. And our clubs have been actively involved in 4 international projects this year, projects and particularly water projects in El Salvador, Ghana, Kenya, and interestingly enough, Leslie County, Kentucky. That's considered an international project because it was originated by a club in Mexico, I believe. And we have sent $10,000 in disaster money to District 6740 to help in the relief efforts for the floods that they had in Eastern Kentucky. So we've had just a tremendous year any way you look at it. But not only have we given to support the foundation this year, it's going to support the projects well into the future. And certainly our district's going to benefit greatly 3 years from now when our pool of money for grants is much bigger.
Well, and I think it's important that you've shared that the funding is the fueling source really for making it work.
That's right.
I know sometimes people feel like there's a focus on the funds and we forget about the service, but as you indicated, you can't really have the impact, that kind of huge service impact, if there's not some source of funding. And with the giving that we've had this year, as you said, this will go on for years to come.
Yes.
And set a great example for the future as well.
Yes. Yes. And just create that culture of giving so that we are viable and strong in the impact we can have going forward far into the future.
Well, and talking about the future, Nancy, I know there's some programs that we've reinstituted here in the district that you're particularly proud of, and I know that we don't want to leave those off of your discussion about our achievements in this district.
You're exactly right, Lee. Up to now, I've talked about what the clubs and our Rotarians have done, and there are a couple of things that have been done at the district level, I think, that are really exciting, and they provide opportunities for further service for our Rotarians in 6710. The first one I want to mention is Rotary Youth Exchange, and kudos to District Governor nominee Dale Leatherman for wrestling this alligator and getting it caged, because our district now can participate in the Rotary Youth Exchange program. We were in it years and years ago and we stepped away. So for quite some time, we've been the only district in the United States that did not offer young people in our district the opportunity to study abroad, either in a short summer 5 or 6 week program or a much longer school year program. Rotary Youth Exchange is about our folks going outbound to to a foreign country, but also about students from other countries coming inbound to the district to study here. Now that program is structured, it's in place, it's sanctioned by Rotary International. So we can once again offer that to the youth of our district. And that would not have happened without the work of District Governor nominee Dale Leatherman. He really put his nose to it and got it done this year.
And I think he'll be ready to take, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think we'll have the first applications available July and August of this year.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. He had hoped that we might be able to sponsor an outbound student for a short 6-week summer program, but the timing of it just wasn't right. So the first applications will be for the school year, but that's just a tremendous opportunity. And the district already sponsors global scholarships to fully fund, well, up to $50,000, fund the postgraduate work, a year's postgraduate work for 2 students abroad. So we've offered that opportunity for some time, but now we've got the Rotary Youth Exchange back in place, so we can help the younger ones in our district. The other program I want to mention that really is significant for our local Rotarians is RLI, Rotary Leadership Institute. And once again, I have to credit Dale and Terry Prater with taking that program on and getting it revitalized and having the first sessions this year since the pandemic. We had RLI up through the pandemic, but when everything shut down, we had to also shut down our RLI sessions. Well, those are back up and going. We have had 2 on-site RLI events already this year, with a 3rd one scheduled for later on in the month of June. So that's wonderful leadership training for our Rotarians. And that is another program that's just integral to Rotary International's work and the impact that we make. So now we can offer that once again to our district Rotarians. And I can't think about things we offer to the district Rotarians. I can't wrap this up, Lee, without talking about an effort that you spearheaded and bird dogged and got wrapped up, which is our district directory in print, able to
Just happen to have it right here.
so that we can provide district Rotarians with all of the information they need to answer pretty much any question related to Rotary and our particular district that they might have. And you put in hours and hours and hours of work on that, and I just want to thank you so much, because that was a goal you and I had from the very beginning, was that we were going to get that directory ready to roll out before the end of the year. And indeed, we did have them available at district conference, and they're still available for purchase online.
They sure are. And we have a few of them as well. So folks, Nancy, what I'll do, there have been some of the programs that you've mentioned, some links and websites that I'll insert as we finalize the video to send out to folks, so they'll know, they'll be able just to look and grab that and go out and look at that information. I'll have these as well. I think one of the things you and I had talked about from the beginning is that the pandemic was such a, it was just so weird, and it hit us. Nobody knew really how to act and how to react, and we wanted to record how fortunate we were to have the right people in the right place at the right time, with the district governors that served, Otha Ray Stearman and Joanne Hepperman and then Gail Story before you that really steered us through that very
Yes.
difficult time so
Yes,
that we maintained where we were and were able to continue to grow. And the clubs that stayed active are the ones that have seen the most growth,
that's
interestingly.
right.
So yeah, and
Very-
it was fun at district conference. I think I told you I had somebody, a fairly new Rotarian, who said, "Now, what is this, and why should I look at it?" And it's basically a primer. It's a Rotary 101 in a book.
Yes,
Like,
it
he said,
is.
"So this is everything I need to know." And I said, "Well, you need to go to RLI, but this is a great place to start." But we've recorded all that for posterity now.
Well, and the other thing you do, I don't know if you want to show the cover of that, but you honored the female district governors that we have had throughout the course of our district. Being the year of the woman, we really wanted to highlight the work of these ladies and the tremendous impact that they have had. So that was a recognition that, of course, we made at district conference, but you also gave a nod to those folks.
And it's recorded now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Recorded for posterity.
Nancy, I think it's been an amazing year. I think the information that you have shared with all the clubs on their achievements, with the membership growth and the support that they've provided for their communities and around the world, and then with the funding and really, the heart of giving that we all have. I mean, you've really exemplified that and shared that with the clubs and really got that set for the future. Is there anything else that you want to make sure to tell the district Rotarians in 6710 as you sign off?
Well, as I sign off, I want to say that it has been an honor, just an absolute honor to serve as district governor. And I want to thank you, Lee, the members of our leadership team, but most of all, club presidents and the Rotarians of the district. Thank you for thinking outside the box. Thank you for imagining new ways that you can impact the world, and then stepping forward and with an urgency to go get it done. You made the seemingly impossible possible this year. And I just can't say enough about my appreciation for that, Rotary International's appreciation for that, but the impact is much appreciated by the folks that have benefited from the gifts of your time, talent, and treasure. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for serving as Rotarians this year.
Well, thank you, Nancy. And I know this isn't the last time we'll see you. The College of Governors look forward to adding you to a past district governor list July 1 as we move into hope for the future with District Governor-elect Tommy Reed. Thanks, Nancy, for everything that you've done this year and will continue to do in the future.
Oh, you're so welcome, Lee. Thanks for the opportunity to chat about it.